I'm dropping 5 pins all around his Welcome back to another episode on the Big Dane podcast. Guess who I have with me today? It's been a little while. Sorry for the background noises. Moo moo. Just making some noise. Who was that? Matt Warnock. Yeah, you know him.
What's up?
What's going on, Matt?
If it were cold out, probably a hoodie.
Yeah, it's just getting chillier these days. In fact, after work, I went for a jog, and I needed a sweatshirt. I was running in shorts, too, so had to have some kind of breathable attire for working out. But yeah, I was actually getting close to the Spring Mill train station, going to the direction towards Manayunk. So I'm like getting closer there, and then I thought, what the heck is that smell? Like a very bad but like potent smell. And I was like, this is not like dog shit. This is not the water treatment center, because you know that smell, right? And so I was like, all right, whatever. And then after I passed through there, then it was gone. So I was like, well, that's kind of odd. So then I was coming back. And at this point, I was like walking in that area instead of like straight, like jogging through. And I look over, because you know how you could like kind of see stuff out of your peripheral vision. I'm like, there's something over there. So it was like on my right side. And it kind of scared me. It was a deer. Yeah, a pretty big deer.
A really big deer?
Mm-hmm.
How big?
Bigger than me.
That's a big deer.
But I also thought, this is oddly placed.
It's a mystery.
Because how, like, it's off the trail. Like, the only thing I could think of is if, like, I know sometimes the police or like a Parks and Rec vehicle kind of thing patrol through there, but I thought they must have been going really fast to hit a deer. So it almost seemed like someone just dragged the deer into the little
Well, how close was the road?
It's literally off the trail. So it's like this direction is like you're going to Conchi Brewery, and so then the train tracks are literally right there to the left. Mm-hmm. Then you're like walking on the trail, and then on either side are the trees and stuff. But there's right in that area, there's not much.
There's no roads.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
That is mysterious.
It was very bizarre. It was like there's something peculiar going on here. Well, that was it. That was the latest and greatest. No updates on my walks, so that's my update. The deer. So if you're wondering what that smell was, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, guys, and just remember, give you a little refresher, especially for those that maybe been tuning in just to this first episode 26. Yeah, so you can listen on my website. And so what I mean by that is like you go to the website, thebigdanepodcast.com, okay, /podcast, and then from there you select your favorite platform, okay? So you have it all there. If you want to send me a message, you just stay on the website, go to the contact section. It's going to be great. Send me a little note. I'll get back to you. Simple as that. All right? And just be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram for all the updates. Mm-hmm. Cool beans, peeps. So I'm just going to cut to the chase here. And what we thought would be fun to discuss. Are things you shouldn't say on the first date.
Mm-hmm.
I know at least like now that Matt and I are living together, I've caught myself saying things. I'm like, wow, it's a good thing I didn't say that on the first date, or like just like random stuff. So it's pretty funny. Um, so do you want to kick it off, Matt? Like, how about kind of like in the beginning of like, hi, like, nice to meet you, or you know, because maybe you met online, maybe you didn't, maybe you
Well,
met each other at the grocery store.
one thing you definitely don't want to say is like, you look like my ex or mom or something like that. That's just kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely
Or dad,
not.
from a girl's perspective. Like telling me that I look like their dad would be a little weird.
Yeah, that would kind of be a turn off. Not a good way to kick off the date.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general too, to not even mention your ex, like that's a big like red flag. Like, yo, you're not ready to date because you obviously are still in love with this other person.
It's still on their mind.
Yeah.
What's one? So like, after the first encounter or something like that, what is something that you think the guy shouldn't say, or would kind of like throw things off right from the get go? This is like, you both have like sat down, like talked about the weather or something like that, something basic like that,
Yeah.
small talk.
You mean still on the first date, you're saying? Like what?
Yeah.
Well, definitely don't want to get to the point where you start talking about like sex positions or like anything like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know, unless you're into that, but
I mean, I think
a little
the
much.
one
A little much.
the one occasion, one rare occasion, but that would be okay, is if you both, if you had met online or something like that, and you both had been talking like how swingers would talk or something like that. They
How
just
swingers would talk? How do swingers talk?
very open sexually.
How do you know that? Swingers is like a couple,
or people
like
who
two
are
couples.
just, I don't know the word for it, but let's
Orgy.
say sexually liberal.
An open relationship?
No, they're single, but they're just active in the bed, you know.
So a whore.
Maybe.
A whore and a man whore.
Yes. A gender neutral whore.
Wow. Okay.
That's another thing you shouldn't really talk about, is how many people you've slept with.
Yeah, definitely not. Because, I mean, no judgment at all, but like, sure, if you've slept with a good amount and then maybe the other person hasn't, then the other person may be like, what? Like,
This
who?
person totally has an STD.
Yeah, maybe. You don't know.
Yeah, then the question to follow that would be like, have you ever been tested? But nowadays,
Which also shouldn't be discussed on.
Gaston.
What?
What'd you say?
I said it shouldn't, which also should not be discussed on a first date. Is like, have you been tested for
COVID.
for
Except if it was COVID, it would be.
no, for an STD?
Yeah, but nowadays that could mean tested for COVID.
Not if you say for STDs.
Oh yeah, if you gotta be specific. What I'm saying is you gotta be specific nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I've never had happen to me on a first date though is the other person asking me like, if, say, usually when I'm on a date or on some dates, I was so nervous that I can really finish my food. So
I would eat it all.
yeah. So I honestly pick. Well, you wouldn't have done this on the first date, but
What?
I feel like you or someone would have been like, "Hey, are you gonna finish that?" Or if you had no shame on the first date, you probably would have said that. But on the
Yeah, that's because, I
how,
mean, just kind of like manners or like, you don't know this person. So,
how many
why would
dates
you?
would you say it would take to make that okay?
I think it depends when you have sex.
Okay. So if
Well,
so, you need to have sex in order to be able to eat off their plate. What else are you eating?
excuse me, guys. Well, I guess I'll put it this way too. If you did have sex right away, so maybe like the third or fourth date, or kind of like whatever comes first. So maybe
The plate eating or the sex? What comes first?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I don't know. I know at least you and I, like, we were trying to get creative as far as dates, so it's like not every date you're gonna have food. So it's like, well, maybe it's not until like the fifth date or like, cause say if you went out on 4 dates, like, and it was like once a week, so by that time, like, you're already getting to like a month, so maybe like 4 dates. I don't know.
Or
I
maybe
don't think it matters.
or maybe like if you're the kind that you don't have sex on the first or second or third date. It's really weird though. But if say you are that kind of person, how like it would take at a certain point it would be okay to eat off of your significant other's plate, but I feel like once you have sex then it's kind of like your plate is fair game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But no, I remember. Well, I'll have to keep this to a min, but just because I can spread out all my dating stories for you, but because there was quite some interesting ones. Yeah, but no, I remember having one. Is when I was still working my last job, and I had to go to the city that day. So I was like, oh, like, I made a date then. And then I guess, like, the guy I went out on the date with was used to eating, like, dinner, like, very late. So then when we met, and this is like normal dinner time, maybe like, must have been 6 or 6:30. And then I felt like I was the only one eating because he said he wasn't that hungry. So I'm like, here I am starving. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't eaten since lunch, And I think I ate almost everything because I was that hungry. And then, yeah, at the end, it was like, all right, yeah, it was nice to meet you. Like, he said that to me. I'm like, well, that was it. At least I got free food.
That's actually kind of funny. You like didn't care because you were hungry, but even though like that's not on like the list per se of things you shouldn't do on a first date, that would be one of them.
Why?
I don't know. It makes the date feel unbalanced.
Well, he should have been the one hungry.
He should have.
That doesn't make sense. And why did we go to dinner at dinner time?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
because that's normal.
he should have
Do
found
not back him
a
up on
different
this.
type of date. This is so. And if there's any, do you have guys in your audience? If any guys are listening,
Yeah.
if for the guys that are listening, if you should set up a date if you're not going to be hungry around that time. Set up a different kind of date, like maybe just drinks or like wine and cheese or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember we got mussels, but I feel like there was like something else, but like I don't think it was they weren't entrees, so they were more like appetizers, but I guess more like I don't know. I was gonna say filling, but mussels really aren't that filling. But there's a lot of bread. But yeah, I feel like he just didn't have that much, and then I was like, okay, and then it was just like a lame date. I was like, wow, I can't believe I wasted my time on this.
But you got free food, so was it a waste of time?
I don't know.
You got a story out of it.
Sure did.
Yeah, no regrets.
Oh god.
Ooh. You
Guys,
you
every
just punched your
time,
listeners in the face.
every time I'm like, always happen to get too close to the microphone, and I like, it almost dropped off.
Yeah, sorry.
Almost did a splat.
Sorry she hit you.
Yeah, I mean, or like even other things that you shouldn't say, or like maybe you're a couple drinks in, you guys are having a good time, everything's going great, and then you kind of like start talking about drugs and maybe ask like, oh, have you ever been roofied?
Yeah, that's a really...
At that point, I'd be getting my ass out of there.
Yeah, that's a very off-putting question.
As you're like taking a sip, but like
you're like mid-sip, you're like...
She spit it out on his face.
I don't know what I
or
would do.
her face.
I don't know what I would do in that moment if it's like, oh, have you ever been roofied? And then you then you're like, no, and then they're like, well, you just or something like that. It's like, that's not true. Like, there's a roofie in that drink, and you just drink it. Yep,
Wow.
rapist.
Yeah.
Sorry to make the episode dark. I mean, I know the subject is things not to say, but do we consider farting saying something?
Well, yeah, I mean, saying out loud, like, oh,
So
I have to fart.
You're talking. Saying
like
out loud.
Maybe, yeah,
But
because
not
maybe
just
you
doing
ate, right? So now you're eating, you're having some beer, wine, whatever it is, you're digesting. I mean, with my GI tract, it's all fucked up. So maybe something's happening, and I'm like, oh shit. No pun intended, but and then it's like,
then your ass becomes an organ.
yeah, because some people like will say like, oh, like, did I say that out loud? Which I never get. I'm like, yeah, you said that out loud, like,
Yeah, or maybe someone's just so lost in their thoughts.
yeah.
I feel like if you're like really high or something like that, then that could be acceptable.
For sure, yeah.
But when you're on a date, you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe they are high when they say that.
Yeah,
I knew a guy who used to get high before any event that was like intimidating or scary or something like that, which didn't make sense. But he had to do a talent show and he smoked before it. And I don't know why, but it just made his performance worse.
A talent show? What is it, 6th grade?
No, it was like a talent show for like Greek Life was hosting like a Miss.
Oh, it was in college.
Mr. Greek or whatever it was called.
Greek.
It's like kind of like Miss America, but Mr. Greek for like the fraternities.
Well, I won't say too much because then I'm gonna give away all my dating stories. But I did have some encounter with a date as far as like being like high and things.
Oh.
So it's like, yeah. I just want to say it, but I'm gonna hold it in. So I'll
like
keep
your
it
farts?
Yep, like farts. But no, I will save that for another episode and get in the deets for you guys. Yeah. Pretty wild.
Continued.
Yeah. Yeah, or what about like kind of getting more towards the end, like after you fart and
Yeah. I'm glad we've established a clear timeline.
yeah.
I think if you're like pretty deep into the date and conversation stuff like that, if he or she is asking if the person's looking to get married or something like that.
Yeah, that's a turn off.
That's a pretty upfront question, especially for the first date. That would be like a third or fourth date.
Third or fourth? Fuck
later.
that. That's like 6 months.
I don't even remember when I don't even remember when we started talking about
I
that.
don't know. No, I would even say, like, regardless of your age, I still don't think you should bring that up for a first date.
Yeah, especially if you're 16.
Okay, wow.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm trying to think if anyone
how long,
has.
I don't mean to interject, but was it, how long was it before you told your parents about me?
Gosh, I don't know. It wasn't right away if that's the answer you're
It
looking
wasn't
for.
before the first date.
God, no. The only people that I would tell, like, for a first date is whoever I was living with, or, like, my close friends that are in the area or whatever. So, because a couple things. Because if I'm going out and I'm going to be out and I'm going to be by myself, I'm dropping that pin on Google Maps.
Pin?
Yeah, a pin. A little pin. You drop the pin. You know what I'm talking about? The red pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what does that do for you or your friends?
What it means is that they know where I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't want, a wild and crazy person. You don't know.
Yeah, I do that with my family still.
Especially, like, so if it was maybe, like, a third date and then maybe, like, the guy was, like, making dinner at his house, I was like, I'm dropping 5 pins all around his house. The perimeter.
We've been at all these places.
But no,
Just track
I mean,
my location.
yeah, no, I wouldn't tell. No, and I'll tell you why. Because, well, I mean, it was different with you, because then we clicked right away. But if I'm like, and then I'm still dating, then it doesn't make sense to tell when no feelings at that point matter.
I'm glad you have feelings.
I do.
Yeah, but yeah, before the first date, telling your parents is kind of, well, no, it's like it's okay, but then telling the person that you told your parents,
Yeah.
that's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, it's just not needed. Like,
Just like, oh, okay. It's kind of makes me think that you were the first like, if a girl told me that, I would think that I'm the first person the girl has, like, seen in public in a long time or something like that.
or maybe the person is an only child.
Maybe, I don't know how the dynamic of that. I don't really know many people who grew up as only childs.
My mom.
Your mom did?
Denise.
Did she do that?
I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
Get her on the show. We'll interview her.
I know. I should get her on here
A
soon.
day in the life of Denise Tramborn.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Your dad tells some pretty good stories too. We could have
If we
him
can
on.
get any stories out of him.
He likes to talk. Let's get him going.
Yeah.
Hope your parents don't listen to this.
My mom listens. My dad doesn't.
Oh, well, here you go.
Hey, Dad, don't listen to episode 26. Just avoid it. Yeah, and then I guess, like, by the time you're leaving, you're wrapping things up, the waiter or waitress comes around with the bill. Dun, da, da, da.
I can get out of here.
Watch out, bitch. I'm running.
Oh, yeah.
Running from the check.
Well, yeah, it'd be pretty awkward at that point if you're like, oh, so you're paying for this date, right?
Yeah, so that's, like, I feel like a whole nother, like, episode I could do is just, like, paying for the bill.
Yeah, who's responsible
and who's
for the bill?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because, like, sure, like, the old fashioned is like, yeah, the guy is gonna pay, but I would always I'll say this. I would always, not anymore. No, I'm kidding. I would always
I'm giving a menacing,
say,
for the listeners, I'm giving a menacing look at Deanna right now.
I would say, oh, like, do you want to split it? Or,
Yeah, 'cause
as
it's
soon
2020.
as, it's like, oh, no, I got it. And then I'll do like, are you sure? You got to check. Some people, they want to be asked again. Oh, Lord. Hope that didn't get picked up on here. Just heard a lot of cat hissing.
Cat fights.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I like to check. I want to make sure, like, you good? Are you good?
Are you good?
I got my debit, my credit card.
I got my debt card.
But then after the second, no, then I'm like, okay. And then I feel good because I know I offered, but the guy said no. But I remember encountering one or two times where, like, it was straight up, let's split it. Or it was, I don't know. Well, I don't remember what I was going to say. Split it, or what would be the other thing? I just lost my train of thought.
One or the
Guys,
other.
I'm tired.
One or the other pays for it? Is that what you mean?
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, from a guy, are you okay? You're like, I don't know, man. Just leave me alone.
I don't know what I was.
It's like. She's tired. What's our time at? You want to call it?
Not yet. We got to keep going.
All right. Well, I just want to say on that topic, as a guy, I personally don't like that stigma that the guy has to pay every single time. And when I was looking for you, I was pretty hell-bent on making sure I found someone where the relationship would be 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes fiscally as well. Like, just everything. It doesn't matter if it's money or just, like, things. Like, that's what I shoot for. And if someone was going to make me pay for the date, or someone always wanted to pay for the date or something like that, then that's just unequal. And
that gets a little uncomfortable too. But I remember what I was gonna say. So it was like, I was saying, like, you check once. Well, I checked once, or like, yeah. Then they, like, gave it, like, oh yeah, maybe we should split it. So that was the other thing. So it was kind of like, oh, I got it, and then I was like, oh, are you sure? But then they're like, oh, you know what? Let's split it. So then we split it, and I was like, fuck.
Was that our first date? Fuck!
No. I don't even remember what we, like, no, I remember what we did, but as far as splitting things, just because we went to two different places, I don't remember, like.
I think I remember. I think the first place I paid.
Besitos.
I paid for that tab, and then we went to
Tired Hands,
and then you paid
I got
for
it.
that. Yeah.
I was gonna guess that, but I don't recall. Wow. So, well, this episode went fast, but yeah. Just something to think about if you're dating. I mean, obviously, right now it's like totally different. So, I mean, that in itself could be a different episode. Although I'd have to, like, tap into people who I know that are dating and single now, because many of my friends are not single.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like to date in the mask, wearing a mask and stuff.
Date in the mask, do a Zoom thing, maybe not. Maybe there's a new dating app. I don't know.
Zoom.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
I will say, do not always rely on the dating apps. You can meet people in other places, like the grocery store. I was not joking about that. I certainly did. Well, I'll tell you about that another time.
Give us a preview. Because I'm here, like, looking at her. Because I haven't even heard this yet.
You have. But, yeah. So, I'll get you up to date on that on another episode. So, hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a message. Hope to hear from you, and be sure to listen on the BigDanePodcast.com/podcast. Stay on the site, send me a message in the contact section, and be sure to leave me a quick review. Yeah, I think it'll take 20 seconds. And go to ratethispodcast.com/thebigdanepodcast, and you can leave me a 5-star review if you wish. And just follow me on Instagram and Facebook. All right, people. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.